Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of DEconstructing DE. It's a monthly podcast hosted by community manager Megan Everett, and it dives into the many people that shape Warframe. My name's Marcus Kretz. I'm the podcast producer and editor, plus community coordinator at Digital Extremes. On this episode, Megan sits down with 3D character artist Michael Skyers and weapons artist Kaz Adams to discuss Tennogen. It's a program dedicated to adding user-generated art to Warframe. On the podcast, each month we aim to bring more knowledge to our community on just how Warframe's made. We want to give you some behind-the-scenes stories and different looks at the things you might never get to hear about otherwise. So hang out, have a cup of coffee, and enjoy our first episode.
Welcome to the podcast. As Marcus said, I'm here with Kaz and Skyers.
Yo.
I'm Kaz Adams. I am on the weapons team, and I'm also a Tennogen supervisor.
I'm Skyers. I'm on the character art team and also a Tennogen supervisor.
Oh, double titles.
Oh, yeah.
Technically,
Oh.
the letter said weapons artist and supervisor, so I don't know if that was a side or downgrade, but whatever.
Like, I'll take it. It's fine. So the main part of what we'll talk about is Tennogen, because that is such a huge part of Warframe, but we'll obviously probably banter off into other things. Essentially, how did you guys kind of fall into the Tennogen program?
I was actually hired onto the team at DE through Tennogen. Basically, my portfolio wasn't quite on style with Warframe, but once they opened up Tennogen Program, I saw an opportunity to try and learn the pipeline and all of that. So Tennogen was great for leading me to that point, and that's when Carrie decided to approach me about being hired, so that was really cool.
Oh, Carrie Black.
Yep.
What was the first Tennogen item that you did?
The Excalibur Arturius helmet.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Very
I
nice.
think it was in, like, the first round. That was fun.
Skyers?
I kind of piggybacked off Kaz. So
Ooh.
Kaz and I, when Kaz came to the studio, we became friends, and we were talking about the whole Tennogen thing, and she was like, pretty overwhelmed. There's a lot of work to do by yourself, and like I thought like we should have a character artist on the team because there's a lot of the skins. And I was like, yeah. So I wanted to help out, and over time, like she showed me the ropes, and yeah, now we've been doing it for how long? I don't even remember. Like 2 years. I've been doing it for 2 years.
I've been here for 2 years, so yeah,
A year and a half ish.
Yeah.
Let's put it there. But yeah.
Yeah. So, Kaz, how do you contribute to the program overall now? Like you said supervisor, what does that mean?
We look over all of the pieces in the Tennogen program as a group, and we make all the judgments together. Me and Skyers and Taylor all do that, and then Skyers and I bring all of the pieces into the engine, and we have to look through all the files, make sure they're all named correctly, make sure that they're all set up correctly, make sure
Skyers is making a
Flex
face that you
works.
cannot see of discomfort. I don't know what that face is.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
When people work off-site and don't have access to the engine, it's really hard to guess what they need to do for the pieces to look right in the game. So we have to guide that whole process, and that's kind of where the supervisor thing comes in. We're kind of like mini art directors in that way.
Well, I see sometimes when you guys have that meeting, and you're in that meeting for almost the entire evening.
Yeah.
Round 15 was about 4.5 hours.
I
The
think
meeting
it was
was
more like 5.5, actually.
There you go. Maybe we started at about 1:30.
Yep.
And then finished at 6. So
Yeah.
whatever. I'm not a mathematician, so you guys can figure it out.
I'm an artist. I'm not a
Yeah.
mathematician.
We have people who do this for us.
Yeah, someone does my math for me.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen like Taylor get like 3 cups of coffee, like 3 different trips for coffee, and I'm like, oh, that poor girl, like she needs her coffee.
Yep.
It kind of, like everything else here at DE, we kind of got a backlog because we had some major updates coming out. So since round 14, which I think was November, we hadn't looked at anything that was made up until January.
Right.
And it's getting more and more popular, which is great because we're getting like different styles, and competition breeds like, more better work.
More creativity.
I don't know what the phrase is. But yeah, it's been really good. Like a lot of different styles. And,
Yeah.
And a lot of new people too.
And what's great is some of the new people we've reached out. It's like there's always a risk. Like, do we give feedback, and are they gonna do it or not?
Sure.
Like, because we already have this list, and it's been good for the most part. Some of the new people, they've been really receptive to the feedback.
That's awesome.
And like their first try, they got in.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
I know from someone like on the outside perspective of it, I get really excited when I see, obviously I'm more of I see the final product, I see what's going in, it's in my patch notes, I write it up, but seeing like new names or even seeing stuff that people have collaborated on. When I see collabs, I get so excited. I'm like, yes, teamwork. I was like, get it, guys, get that teamwork. Is that like more popular now, people collabing?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of people, because to do everything by yourself,
A lot of work.
is hard, right? That's
Yeah.
why like our studio's grown to where it is. So we're seeing people team up with designers. So a designer will team up with 3D artists, and they'll work together and create something beautiful. Because sometimes, I know for me, I struggle with design a bit, or a lot.
As an artist, that's quite
depending on what it is. But I'm very comfortable like doing like quote unquote production side of things.
Sure.
So when I get a good concept, it makes my life way easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like to do everything.
Yeah. You're like, I'll just do it all.
Yeah.
Do you remember a time during the Tennogen program where it was like a highlight for you, like something you'll always kind of remember within doing the program?
Well, for me, it's more like a general thing. Whenever we give like the right type of feedback for someone to get their work in and to kind of bring their skill level up, just with like a directional kind of feedback and not like a prescriptive kind of feedback. Like that kind of thing is always really rewarding to me.
Yeah.
For me, I'm still getting used to working on a game that updates frequently and like we
yeah.
get feedback. It was really cool at last year's TennoCon to meet like some of the artists that
artists, yeah.
contribute. We look at their work, and it was really cool to like put names to faces.
Faces to names?
So that was really cool, and like everybody was pretty like super nice, and
Yeah.
it was cool to make some inside jokes about some of the stuff. Yeah, I think that was really cool to like meet the people that make this stuff for us.
Yeah. When we first met Kaz, we had obviously had an online relationship where you see your art and stuff like that, and then she comes to the studio. I'm like, oh, it's Kaz. Like, we finally get to meet you in person. And then we hired you.
Do you remember my dad and I went to the wrong location?
Yes,
first?
you went to
We
the
were-
old location.
Yeah, we were an hour late.
Yeah. Like, did she get lost in the small town of London, Ontario?
You guys looked so worried when we came in.
Well, I'm even worried, like, when people come to TennoCon, they're going to get lost or they'll get stuck somewhere. Like, I know when I went, even, like I said, I've been in London my entire life. Even when I go to Toronto, I get lost. I go down one-way streets going the wrong way. Not that I'm a bad driver, but Toronto's okay.
I come from the totally opposite perspective. I grew up on a dirt road in a wetlands forest.
In a wetlands
So-
forest? It sounds like a movie title.
Did you have to walk 2 miles through snow to get to school?
No, we had a bus.
So you're from, it was Michigan you're from?
Yeah.
Near Michigan?
Yeah, in Michigan.
Is Michigan a wetland? Am I learning new
But
geography right
It's
now?
surrounded by lakes, and there's tons of lakes in it. So it's got a really high water table. So there's a lot of like muddy areas and stuff, and
Yeah.
mosquitoes and things like
Wow, I pictured Michigan not that. Skyers is squinting.
Oh, I heard mosquitoes, and it like triggered me.
Triggered you? Are you not a mosquito fan?
Who is?
Who is? Oh, God. Other than Tennogen here at Digital Extremes, what are some of the other things that you have worked on? Because I know, Skyers, you are working currently, or sorry, you worked on Khora.
Yes.
And Kaz, I know you're currently working on a skin of some sort.
Well, we've already shown it.
I know, I was teasing.
She's leading the
Yes.
conversation.
I
Yes.
see.
So,
Yeah.
Skyers has worked on Khora.
Yes.
Talk about that. What was your inspiration for Khora? Did you always want to make a cat lady? I feel like it's coming to anime.
Like originally there was nothing to do with cats. That
Really?
was from Scott. He was like, she's gonna have a cat. I was like,
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't even gonna be. I don't know. Can I talk about it?
Yes, you absolutely
All
can, yes.
It wasn't even gonna be a cat. It was gonna be like some kind of beast using the Zanuka rig, and I was like, can it just be a kavat? And then eventually.
So it was going to be more like corpusy? Is that what you
It
mean?
was going to be like a bigger, more robotic beast thing. I don't know. It was going to be something, I guess, new.
Yeah.
But
instead of Venari, like
yeah.
as an ally kind of thing. That's
and
what
then
it's
I was
gonna
like, can it just be
a cat? Yeah.
My original idea for her was to be very spider-like and be kind of like love child between Rhino and Vauban.
Ooh, we're talking about ships.
To be this like defensive support character, using like giving people armor and whatnot and stuff like that. And then her changing would be augmenting her abilities in different ways to give different buffs or have damage. And then through the wonderful process of game development, she became what she is now.
Yeah.
She got to keep her whip, which was cool, and she got to keep her spikes, which was always a part of my original idea.
Wasn't the whip gonna be part of the bundle?
Yeah.
Because I started designing it, and then they were like,
she went through a lot.
Yeah.
And I think everybody knows. Everybody, including me, was along for the ride.
Yeah.
And, but I think what's really great is that now that all the changes are done, people are really finding a place for her, and like I've seen her on some people's lists for like getting a B+. I'm happy with a B+.
A passing grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, B+ is close.
It's a passing grade.
Yeah.
I got those grades. I passed.
I'd be happy with that grade.
Well, I mean, that's more than a passing grade, right?
True. Sorry, yes. I didn't mean to put her down.
She's okay, I guess.
She's above average. I'm kidding.
But,
I love her.
Yeah, it was a huge learning process for me. Like,
Was she kind of the first? Because, like, obviously you're an artist, so you have many inspirations and such. But was she, like, the first? Like, would you consider her a frame that you have designed?
yes.
Yeah.
But the first frame that I worked on was a while ago, but it was Ivara. I had nothing to do with her powers, nothing. I just had to make her. I got a concept from our art director, and he kind of, like, just helped me a tiny bit and, like, wanted me to, like, figure it out myself, which was a mind-bending process. And then I was like, oh, okay, people like how she looks. That's great. Over the years, I was working on the idea for Khora in the background on and off, and then I feel pretty proud of how she turned out visually, even through all the changes and stuff and all the community feedback. Everybody said she looked great. They just didn't know what to do with her.
Yeah.
So can be happy about that. I did my job.
Yeah. So you said the spikes and the whip pretty much stayed. What do you recall what she looked like conceptually? I know you said spider and she's not spider, but do you know any, like, what's the big difference aesthetically?
She didn't look like she was from Warframe first.
Really? What was she more like,
it was
organic or?
It was too armory.
Okay.
To like medieval armory.
Medieval,
'Cause one of
yeah.
my inspirations too, because I was like, oh, I wanted to have spikes. I was like, oh, let me look at an Iron Maiden, and I have drawings where her head is in that kind of Iron Maiden shape. And then I was like, okay, let me look at fashion, and then like I was like, oh, okay, all this stuff is really bulky, blah blah blah. And I tried to incorporate that, and then slowly like I slimmed her down, and then like played with her proportions to make her more like bug-like. And I think when I did that is when it really started to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from conception of a more spider-themed frame to when she launched, how long was that? Like a year? Like, what are we talking?
Long time. Like the first, like her first being in my head was, I don't know, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
So I pitched her probably in January. And then by August, they were like, okay, we're interested in like picking this up. And then worked on her from between August. Some other things came in, took a break, and finished her around late November, early December. And then the rest was out of my hands.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I finished her probably in October, and then they were like, she needs a pet. And I was like, okay, it took me this many years to make her. Let me figure out how to make a pet in a couple of weeks.
Incorporate that in.
But it worked out. It was great.
No, Khora's great. You did a great job.
Thank you.
And again, one of the rewarding things that I love seeing from the community side is all the fan art. I know I send you every single piece of Khora fan art I can find. I always send to you.
It's very, like, it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy. And
Yeah, it totally does.
Yeah, fan art's the best.
It truly is. So, Kaz, you have been working on something, and you said we've shown it. It is the
Limbo Deluxe.
Limbo Deluxe. So talk to me about a little bit of the inspiration behind the Limbo Deluxe.
Well, the very first design came from Bear, actually. He drew it for Minky. I think the first TennoCon, he gave it to him.
So 3 years ago then? Well, more than 3 years
Something
ago?
like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember I was at the first TennoCon with him, and I was helping him decide like what the shapes of shoulders should be and like some balance things and stuff while he was drawing that. So like when I saw it on Minky's desk, I was like, I helped with that.
Yeah.
And then Minky left shortly after I joined the team.
We miss you, Mickey.
Yeah, I miss you. And he passed the task on to me, and I was like, this is awesome because I kind of already helped him in a way.
Right.
So now I get to take this concept and complete it.
Mm-hmm.
But the task that Minky gave me had a little bit more progress on it. Minky thought it would be cool to add some inspiration from sentient eyes, because Bear's concept had like eyeballs all over it, but they were literal eyeballs.
Yeah.
So Minky was like, well, sentient eyeballs would work. So then I took that idea and ran with it and just went full sentient, because I love the sentient style, and just decided that if I'm going to do it, I might as well just push it all the way I can, because it ended up with some really interesting shapes and stuff. So now I'm working on the bundle for it, and Reb mentioned in one of the streams that his weapon skin is going to be tarot cards.
Which I am obsessed with, because as you know, I'm playing a lot of Persona 5, so I'm obsessed with this tarot card inspiration.
Yeah, it's based off of the, Chinese hopping vampires? Was the
Vampires.
original?
Reb must have inspired this somehow.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, so I mean, I kept some of Bear's original concept, but it's all really loosely interpreted like that. And the asymmetrical cloth on the side and the eyes on key parts of the body and the eye in the middle and stuff like that.
So the tarot cards, what are those going to be? Like throwing weapons, I presume?
Yeah.
So instead of a despair, you're going to have tarot cards kind of thing? That gives me life, I gotta tell you.
I based the tarot card off of a real tarot card, so
Really?
maybe you could figure out which one it is.
Like, you mean like a real like sign, like sun or hanged man? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm not going to tell you which one.
Oh my god, this is a game now.
Yeah.
I like
It's
it.
really cool.
Skyers knows.
It was fun watching like the design process. And what she landed on is perfect.
Yeah, he kept wanting to see updates.
And show me more, show me more. So where is it as we speak now? This is, before this is launched, or
Right.
before the podcast launches, but where does it sit now in terms of completion?
Well, I have to finish up the whole bundle, so there's how many items? 3 additional items besides the skin. Yeah. So I have to finish those up by the 23rd. So most of them are high poly done for the most part.
And what does that mean, in case no one knows what high poly means?
The sculpting we do in ZBrush, that's the high poly. It's the high detail model that gets, like, the detail gets projected onto a low detail model that goes into the game.
Pretty much looks like a 3D clay kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
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 Very cool.
It's the fun part.
Is that your favorite part of the design, kind of?
It's a toss-up between the sculpting and the texturing at the very end. I love texturing, too. Everything in between sucks because it's all technical.
Yep.
UV unwrapping, low poly creation.
Baking.
Yeah, baking can be painful.
This all sounds like another language to me, because I have no idea what any of that means.
It's hard to explain to people without having visuals. 'Cause it's like, I think for me, how I explain the whole converting your high detail sculpture to a low detail sculpture or model or whatever. When you say model, people are like, what?
Yeah.
But anyways,
I'm a modeling
it's
artist.
like-
Yeah.
What's that mean? You model?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do model. No, the
Not
other
in
model.
that way. Yeah. Different kind of model.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like in elementary school when they make you make those the geometric shapes out of paper.
Yeah.
And so you'll have your like
Oh, with like the dotted
pattern
lines.
for the cube. Yeah. And so when it's all together, that's like your low poly, and then
Yeah.
you put like you draw on it, and that's like the high detail information.
Yeah.
And then you have to unfold the cube. And it's, I don't know if that's making any
This
sense.
is giving me flashbacks
But,
of like public school.
Yeah, I've tried. I need visuals to explain.
Sure,
like,
yeah.
clearly to
You're an
people
artist. You need
generally.
visuals.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you
But
nodded your head when she said textures
I
were
love
her favorite.
texturing.
So, favorite texture in Warframe that you've worked on? Is that a silly question? I'm curious.
No, it makes sense.
I just like metal stuff because it's so different. Like when you're in ZBrush, it's all flat colors and stuff, and then you're working on it in Painter, and it's shiny, but it doesn't really have a lot of life to it. But once you put it in the engine, it's got like this beautiful, rich bloom to it that affects the camera and stuff, and like suddenly this prime item that I've been used to seeing only in like dull colors comes to life when I put it in the engine.
I think something that confuses me but amazes me at the same time is kind of similar with like the metal textures, how you can make used metal or like scratched metal or like dirty metal look beautiful. Like that kind of texture to me. Like you'd think, oh, pristine and clean would be like the best, but then you see like some scratched up dirty grenier and you're like, yeah, like those are some textures right there.
When stuff has like dirt and grime and scratches and stuff, it gives it character.
Yeah.
Like it's been used. Right?
Yeah. Like
when you buy, I don't know, something brand new and it's like got nothing on it, it's like anybody could have this, right? But the one that's all scratched up and dirty, it's like it has a little bit of a story to tell.
Exactly, yeah.
I think
it's the most artistic part of making textures is adding the grime and like the story of how it was used, like where the scratches happen, where you can't get it clean no matter how hard you try.
That crevice.
Yeah. I think texture-wise for me, it's one. We have a new workflow that we use on characters, and it's being pushed out to weapons as well.
Yep.
We kind of have a material library that we assign to different areas on the character. And so one of the first things I had to make using that method was Octavia Deluxe.
Okay.
And I was like, it'd be kind of cool. She has kind of like the sparkly car paint thing.
Oh, I remember that process. Like there was a lot of different, like people were posting videos about it because it would hit the light and it'd be super sparkly.
Yeah.
And like, whoa.
Yeah, it took some time to like get it just right, but it was cool. It was like I had to learn something new, and that's always a fun thing.
Yeah.
And I think in the game, like I've tried a bunch of different colors on her, and she like looks good in like almost anything.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of process, it just came to me now. Let's talk about some hair, shall we?
in any video game, it's difficult. Like
Yeah.
you need a person dedicated and programmers and everything. You need a lot of support for it. There are people who their job
is hair.
They do hair.
Yeah.
And they'll work at different studios will pick them up. You can see like on ArtStation, there's a few people that are like, here's hair I made for this game. Here's hair I made for this game. And it's like,
it seems trivial or it seems small, but it's a long process. And it makes all the difference. You play a game where their hair is static and doesn't move, and you're like, well, this looks great.
I'm curious to see what we'll add after.
Like the curly hair.
I want
It's-
some
it's-
weirder stuff.
It's coming.
I'm still pushing for a pompadour.
What's a pompadour?
It's that big,
The bump in the front. Oh, there's two different
big
kinds.
one, like rockabilly stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So there's
okay.
that one, and then there's like the more feminine one where it's like a bump in the front.
Yes,
you know?
okay. Like a Snooki?
What?
Marcus, don't edit that out.
Rolling his eyes.
Marcus is the one editing these, by the way. It's a Snooki with like the bump in the front. Is that a pompadour?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Snooki. Can we call it the Snooki?
No.
Anyway, speaking of actually textures, when we were talking about, specifically metal and making it look like dirty and scratched, Kaz, I know you do a lot of cosplay.
Yeah, I really
your-
like craft making. And I watch a lot of Tested with Adam Savage
Oh, yeah.
and those guys.
Mythbusters.
Yeah, and they have a lot of tutorials of like how to do life casting, how to do airbrushing, and all that stuff. I've watched a lot of other videos too, but I always come back to Adam Savage. He's just got this passion that it doesn't just leak out of him, it just explodes when he's excited about something. It's just really motivating.
Do you remember the first kind of thing you crafted together in a cosplay sense?
I think I just graduated from high school, or just before then. I made Team Fortress 2. I was a red sniper.
Oh,
I
yeah.
made the vest. I made
Sky.
kukri. I had like these crappy sideburns.
You paint them on?
No, I had like some fabric that had
Oh,
fuzz on
fuzzy.
it.
Oh, cute.
It's okay, it worked.
Yeah.
It's a cartoon character.
Of course, yeah.
And I practiced a crappy accent.
You were in full character then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And that really propelled my whole like want to do cosplay. But like I've been making things forever. Like when I was a kid, I used to make rubber band guns out of like wooden dowels and clothespins that I like bent so they were much harder and I could put those really thick rubber bands on them.
That sounds
So you've been
rebellious.
a weapons artist. You were a little kid.
My best one was a triple barrel one with a hand carved handle on it and 3 rubber bands I could put on it, and I could kill horseflies with it.
How big are these wetland horseflies?
They're big guys.
Like a walnut.
Big boys.
Big fly chonkers. Chonker of a fly. Disgusting. Yeah, so the next weapon in Warframe will be a rubber band gun by Kaz herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
We don't have any giant flies to kill though.
Not yet. Throw those in.
Ah.
New war, all about flying.
I mean, some of the sentients look like mosquitoes, so maybe close enough.
Oh, we're talking about mosquitoes again? We're come full circle?
A giant archwing rubber band gun.
That would be incredible. I am for that. Let me know in the comments below if... no, I'm just kidding. Skyers. Outside of work. What's a day in the life of Skyers like? Maybe not a day. What's a special day like?
I used to be... In high school, I used to be like the go-to anime guy.
Yes, I knew this conversation was going to turn to anime.
would-
Don't edit this out, Marcus.
For my friends back in the day, like I would burn the shows onto like CD-ROMs and have like huge stacks of CD-ROMs in a binder.
You go to
I'd be
school
"What
with
do
like
you
the
mean?"
coat with a bunch of CDs. You're like, hey,
I had
who
a
wants
big fat
Naruto?
binder.
See, I did that too, except I did it with J-Rock.
What's J-Rock? Sorry.
Japanese rock band.
Oh, like music.
Oh, I was big into Japanese.
I
rock
believe
music.
it. I believe it, Kaz.
Yeah. I'm still big into Japanese music.
This is a prolonged relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah, nowadays, I don't know. I try to get out more. 'Cause,
Good.
Like,
We're stuck in here all day.
yeah, we sit at a desk for
Yeah.
hours.
Yes.
Trying to be more active in my old age.
Like you're putting that in air quotes. Active.
So like Tuesdays today, DE has like an archery league
Yes.
club.
Yes.
It's a club. We try to be
got
a league,
jackets,
but then
it's
we're
a
like
club.
we're not that competitive, so
Yeah.
like we'll just be a club. So I took that up. I've been doing that for on and off for 4 or 5 years. I guess the big thing I'm doing right now is cooking. That would be if I wasn't an artist, I'd be like training to be a chef or whatever.
Really?
It's
You
still
could consider.
creative.
Yeah, food is creative and
And
artistic.
It's rewarding in a different way because it doesn't take a month and a half to make something.
Right.
You
You're
know,
not
you take
under
a couple.
NDA for it.
Yeah, you know, you spend a couple hours and like you feed people. And
Yeah.
It's the same kind of
It's like an
I
instant
created this
enjoyment.
thing,
Yeah.
And it's bringing joy or nutrients or whatever
Yeah.
to another person. That's another thing I've been doing recently. Not as well as Rebecca because sometimes I'm like, why do I bother? But, I tried a game, but I'm waiting for. I guess the game that I'm excited for.
Yep.
If we can talk about other games.
Yes.
Is Ace Combat.
Okay.
Skies Unknown. I'm a big fan. I like jets.
I like jets.
I think I don't know a lot about them, but I
Yeah.
think they're cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. So I've been playing that series forever, and this game has been in development for like years.
Yeah.
And I might actually buy a VR system so I can play
Oh.
the game in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are like a few of the things that I do.
Yeah. Are you playing any games right now, Kaz?
I'm playing this one game called Warframe.
Oh yeah. Well, can you pitch it to me? I've never heard of it.
Yeah, space ninjas in space and they shoot guns.
I heard it's free. Is it free to play?
Yeah,
Oh
I think
my
it is
God.
free to play.
And it's like over 5 years old, eh?
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
god, what a game. Is there anything we didn't talk about that you guys want to talk about? Maybe tease something or anything?
I'm working on the Nyx skin, which we did show.
Yes, we have
like,
shown the Nyx skin a long time ago.
Like Tenno.
So that's in the pipe. So the Nyx skin, it's a lot of fun. It's a really cool style. It's cool to be working on something that this amazing comic book artist designed for us. and it's way outside of what I would usually do, so it's a lot of fun. So that's down the line. I'm also working on some other stuff, but can't talk about it.
Oh, secret. So if anyone listening wants to maybe check out your social medias, where can they find you?
They can find me at mskyers, and I'll spell that. So it's SKYERZZ.
ZZ.
Because I want to be cool.
2 Zs, make it cool.
I want to make a Gundam joke, but no one will understand.
Hey, maybe there'll be someone. Go ahead, make your Gundam joke.
Full armored, double Z Skyers.
That's actually one of my favorites.
It's a good one.
All right, Kaz, where can they find you?
I'm at Synchrosis.
As always, as you've been for years and years.
Yeah, that's basically everywhere. I'm Synchrosis.
Yes, love it. All right, thank you guys for sitting with me, and hope you enjoyed the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
You're welcome. Bye.
I'd like to give a huge thank you again to Kaz and Skyers for being on the show, and to you for listening. Let's see you all next month for another episode of Deconstructing DE.